Okay, hello YouTube. What we're doing today is I'm going to go over my setup for doing digital with the Hermes Lite 2 Plus using the Thetis software and WSJTX. Now, on a Windows system, there's a few things you're going to have to do in order to prepare for this all to work. Now, you can see my Thetis screen here. I've got the audio turned off, but I'll turn it on for a second. There you go. You can hear that. You can hear the digital signals. We're on 10 meters today, and the band's open. Got a lot of big signals in there, and we'll try and make a contact at some point. So, first couple of things you need to do. First thing you got to do is install some virtual audio cables. I downloaded the VAC program. There'll be a link in the description. I installed it. It installed one cable. I added a second cable, and virtually I didn't really change anything on here. I think the BPS I changed to 16. So if you look, if you look right here, or right here, I'm sorry, right here. I changed this to 16-bit right here. So we change that to 16-bit and you click the set. And as you can see, there's a signal inbound on 1, and 2 would be the transmit audio cable. So that's the very first thing that you need to do is get your virtual audio cables installed. So once those are installed, the next thing we're going to go to is you need to put COM ports. Now, COM ports have been around since the 80s with the invention of the personal computer system, and they're still alive and well as far as the ham radio stuff goes. COM ports are used for integration between a lot of different hardware and into your computer for software. I use COM ports on my Palstar HF Auto Tuner, which you can see the little window for the auto tuner on my Thetis screen. Let me bring that back up for you. Right here, I've got a little window that I created that shows me what my Palstar is doing. I use a COM port for my Mercury Lux software, so I can have on the screen exactly what my Mercury Lux amplifier is doing. That also uses a COM port or COM to USB converter, but it does have a COM port built in. You plug in your cable, plug it into your computer, then you can utilize that software. Okay, the next thing is COM ports, like I'm saying. So if we go to the setup program for ComOCom, great program. You get it off of SourceForge. I will have a link in the description in order to get this, and you need to create a virtual port pair. I struggled with this on Windows. I think after I put well, you can see I don't have a pair 1. I do have a pair 2. My pair 1 was actually using another COM port that was being used by something else. I deleted that pair, but I created as many pairs as I needed to get a clean pair. And what I ended up with was COM ports 9 and 10. So that's what we got going on here is 9 and 10. Those are my virtual COM ports for my cat control. Then, of course, you have to download the WSJTX software off the internet. I recommend using 2.7. The 3.0, I just could never get it to work. So I'm using the 2.7 version of it. and I've got my Thetis. Now let's look at the Thetis setup for the COM ports and the audio. So if you go to Setup, let me bring this up on the screen here. All right, here's the setup, and let's see if I can make that a little bit bigger for you. Let me try and make a window capture. Okay, we can make this a little bit bigger for you here. So this is the setup window, and you go to audio. Now VAC1 is enabled. That's your virtual audio cable 1. This usually has my default stuff for using my headset and my microphone on my headset. However, I've got line 2 as the input and line 1 as the output. Those are kind of reversed if you look at the VAC setup. So with the VAC setup, let's see, what do we got going on here? It's not coming up. There we go. So with the VAC setup, you can see 1 and 2. All right, let's go back to here. Let's go back to here. All right, so when you're set up, you've got your line 2 virtual audio cable, line 1 virtual audio cable. If you have them swapped, you will notice it in the waterfall for WSJTX. Okay, setup, VAC, 48. I virtually changed nothing. I've got 15 for the transmit gain dB, and that all works perfectly. Go to your CAT setup, enable CAT 1. Now, you saw that I had a COM 9 and COM 10. I chose COM 9, 38400 081. Nothing else. Everything is just set as it is. Okay. So as you can see, we're receiving signals on 10 meters in the RTTY portion of the band, also known as the digital portion of the band. So now what we need to do is we need to take a look at the WSJT. So we will bring up the main window for WSJT. All right, here's the main window for your WSJT program. And as you can see, I'm decoding, and this is my window where I'm currently set on the wide graph bar for WSJT, the waterfall. I'll bring that up here in a minute. However, this is your setup. So we're going to actually go to the setup on this. So if you click on File and go to Settings, it will bring up your settings page. Now I'm going to have to bring that in as well. All right, here's the settings page. Now let's talk about the WSJT settings. The very first page, general, your call sign, your grid square. I virtually do nothing else here. We go to radio. I have got Thetis selected in the rig. Now, if you remember, I've got my cat on COM 9 within the Thetis software. We're going to use COM 10. So you select, I use 9 and 10, whatever COM ports you're using, whichever one you use in Thetis, you want to use the other one on that pair. Now remember, these are virtual COM ports and they're paired together. So we're going to use COM 10, 38400, default, 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 CAT for your push to talk method, USB because all of your digital is on USB. Fake it, you may need it, you may not. Test your CAT, you get a green light. And then you can test your push to talk and it will key up your radio. This should work. If it doesn't, then there's an issue with the COM ports and you may have to add another pair and try that other pair. But for the most part, this is what has worked for me. Now, if it's not working, it will give you an error when it starts up. So we'll go back to the WSJT here, and it's working just fine. So now let me just bring up let's see, let's go to my display capture. Here you go. This is everything that we've got going on. Now, I do use a logging program that automatically logs from WSJTX, log for OM, log for old man. It works good, and it's also connected through the CAT. That all works. That's a completely separate video on how to get that all set up, but as you can hear, I'm going to turn that down a little bit so it's not quite so loud, but you can hear and see the signals. You can see all the signals here, and there's a lot of them on 10 meters. The biggest challenge right now is trying to find an empty spot to where you're not creating an issue with anyone else. So we'll go here and we will click here. There's a little opening right there that I should be able to get out on. Now you're going to want to use your drive slider to adjust your power out. Now my Hermes Lite 2HL2 Plus goes into a smaller amplifier, PA50, which you can see in some of my other videos, and then that drives my Mercury Lux. So I've got my power setting about -5 dB, which gives me, let me just put my amp on standby here. We'll give it a push on the tune, and it's showing about 2.7, 2.8 watts out. This power slider right here does absolutely nothing. You have to adjust your power on the drive slider in the Thetis software. At least that's what I've found. Maybe there's a way around that. Maybe you can use that power slider. I haven't had any luck, and I've been playing with these different drivers trying to figure out what's going on with them. But for the most part, this is where we're at. And it looks like we've got some people. Let me just erase that just to make sure I'm not stepping on somebody. But it looks like there's signals everywhere. So it's going to be tough to find a spot to get in on. Try over here. I just want to get a good clean area and make sure that, you know, everything's working. As you can see, my little PALSTAR menu there showed 2 watts out. It was 2.5 or a little bit more. But you will see exactly what my amplifier is putting out when I put it back into operation mode at 2 watts, 2.5 watts. So yeah, it looks like there's somebody either transmitting or receiving right there. We'll move over just a little bit more, and we're going to enable transmit. So this go around, it's going to key up and send out that signal. So here we go. It's now transmitting my signal. And as you can see down here, it's very clean. There's no splashing. And let's see if we get a response to that. This took me a couple of days. I had a lot of issues getting my COM ports. Anytime you're dealing with Windows, it can get crazy. I do run a Mac for my main station or my main computer system, and I've also got a little Raspberry Pi 5 that I put together in the case. I've got some videos on that. Pretty cool little system. I also run some Linux stuff on that. So I can run my SDR software on my Mac. I can run it on my Windows computer. I can run it on my Raspberry Pi. And it works good. But I love this Thetis software. So we got a pretty quick response there from quite a few stations. So we'll go ahead and grab that top one. I just double clicked it. It inserted their information, and we'll see what we get here. And with the amplifier running about 300 watts out, which is kind of a lot. I should probably turn that down. And there we go. We made a contact. Just click OK on that. Yeah, about 300 watts. Let's turn that drive down even a bit more so we can see where we're at. So we'll go ahead and try with KJ5DZV. Delta Zulu Victor. Let's see if he comes back to it. So now that I've turned that down a little bit, we're down about 220. It's showing 260 on the Pal Star. The amplifier is actually showing about 220, 230. So it is getting out really good, and I can probably turn this gain down even more so. That brought me down to about 160 watts or so. We'll go ahead and log that one. And if we get another hit, we'll go ahead and just erase that. If we get another call, we'll go ahead and make one more contact before I close this out. Yeah, it looks like we should be good now. I don't like to leave people hanging, but by adjusting the drive slider up or down, you can adjust your power out. I could actually turn that all the way up and turn off my Mercury amp and just use my PA50 for 30, 40 watts out. That's completely doable. This is technically a low power mode to be using, and if I let's just put the big amp in standby, and we will turn the drive up a bit, and we will keep losing my windows here. We will hit the tune button just to see what we're getting out. So that was about 6 watts, and if we really take that all the way to the top and we tune it again, we're getting 15, 16 watts out. It's showing up to 30. And we'll go ahead and throw a CQ out at the low wattage output, 20, well, 17 watts out once it stabilizes, just to see if anybody can hear it. A lot of big signals on the waterfall, so it may get heard, it may not, but we'll see. Like I said, this is a low power mode to be using FT8. Um, it depends on propagation. You may need to throw some power into it. Uh, I did the power because I wanted to make sure I was going to get a contact just for this video. However, I'll let this run at low power in order to make low power contacts. And it looks like we might have somebody replying by looking at the waterfall. Yes, we do. So we've got DO1 Foxtrot Zulu Lima. Let's see what he gives us for a signal report. And that was about 20 watts out. And R11. R minus 11. That's not bad. That is not bad at all. So yeah, low power, you can make those contacts. Let this finish up. We've logged our contact. Seven three. All right. So that's going to do it. Again, Hermes Lite 2, stepping up to the plate, allowing you to do just about anything or everything you ever wanted to do with SDR radio. It's a 5-watt transceiver, piggyback amp, and you can get full legal power out. I'm usually on the Nut Factory net every morning, 4:30 to 5:25, except for Sundays we go to 5:30, and I'm usually 1300 watts there. And you can check out my audio. You can check out any of my lives. You can check out pretty much anything. You know, I'm trying to make content for you guys out there, and hopefully this will help some of you get into the FT8 and the digital modes that are available. So with that, I'll just say 7-3. Have yourself a great day.